Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another great edition of Topic Time with Harrison Young. It's hard to believe, but we are now halfway past the midpoint of June, and it's still cloudy out, but, you know, that's New England again. I always say it. Got a great show tonight, another awesome guest, a beautiful young lady, and we're going to get to her in a minute. First, got to read the underwriters, and then we will proceed with the show. We got the car guys in Bridgewater. They sell cars, they repair them, and all Topic Time fans get 10% off. And that's right. Okay. Brian's Barbershop in Kingston, SKS Auto Sales in Bridgewater. They're like a zoo for cars. The Abington News and Smoke and Ashes Tobacco Company, one and the same. And they have stores and locations in Abington, Weymouth, Hanson, Whitman, Pembroke, and Hanover. We got T. Martini and Son floor covering in Abington. We got good old Dave's Automotive in Hanson on Route 58. We got P&L Paintball in Bridgewater, and we got Carver Jewelers Incorporated right here in the building with Ronald R. and Lyle A. Delano Goldsmiths. And I want to thank you guys very much. And now we will start the show. So check out this beautiful young lady here. You might remember her. She was on Channel 7 News a couple of years ago for being Mrs. Massachusetts of 2017. And we're going to talk all about that. We're going to interview her. She's a model, first and foremost, an actress, wife, and mother, I believe, too?
Yep,
okay.
3 boys.
3 boys. Mm-hmm. Lucky you. That's great, though. It's a nobler task than I could handle, but I think it's great that you have that, and you're great at it, and being a mom and all that, and balancing modeling as a career as well. So what I do with all my guests, and I'm going to do with you, is I backtrack to everybody, try to find out what they were like as kids, how they got to be where they're at now. And I'm going to do that with you, and then if I have any questions, I'm going to interject them. First question I have right off the bat is, were you born in Scandinavia or another country?
I was born in Ukraine.
Ukraine, okay.
Yes.
I would have thought Scandinavia, but that's why we ask these questions. Actually, I've had guests from all over the world, and you're the first one from the Ukraine. That's really cool. I love having more places represented than most American talk show hosts have ever had, and I love that. It sets me apart from all the rest. That and a few other things, but that's a show for another day. So, all right, well, talk about you growing up in the Ukraine, and how did it lead to where you're at now? And if I have any questions, like I said, I'll throw them at you. Go ahead.
Awesome. So
okay.
I came to the United States when I was 14.
14?
14.
Okay.
So I went through high school here, and then I went to college.
All right, first question. Next question. Why did you come to the United States at 14? What was...
Well, I came with my parents.
Yep, okay, that's fine. Why did they bring you over? What did they have?
They won a green card. It was a lottery.
Okay.
So they entered the lottery, and they won a green card, so we're like, okay.
So they won a lottery, like they got literally gold in the streets for being able to come over here. That's great. Mm-hmm. So yeah, see, that's why we ask these questions. Who would have known that? Okay, so you came over here at 14, and you went to high school here.
Yep.
Okay, in the Boston area?
I went to Lynn.
And
if you live in Massachusetts, everyone knows Lynn, City of Sin.
City of Sin. I was going to say it, but you said it for me.
Yep, that's
Never come back the way you went in.
But
right.
I like the school.
Right. Okay,
we had great teachers.
Was that Lynn Classical High School?
Lynn English.
Lynn English, okay.
Yep.
There's a few Lynn high schools, I think.
Yep, there's 3.
Okay. All right, and then you went to college after that?
I went to UMass Boston
for
my undergrad.
Okay.
Originally, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
So I went for biochemistry.
Okay.
And then I switched to psychology. I fell in love with psychology.
Psychology?
Psychology.
Okay, well, you're looking at a guy that's seen more shrinks than you'll ever meet in your lifetime. But that's okay, I'm still healthy. But that's great. I mean, I can relate to that is what I'm saying. And I took some psychology courses too. So what did you want to do with that? Have you done anything with it? I mean, you have a degree in psychology then, correct?
And then I went back to school for master's.
Master's, okay. In psychology?
In marriage and family therapy.
So say it again,
marriage and family therapy.
Okay, now that's what you do now. That's actually your profession.
Yep.
You're a marriage and family therapist.
Yep.
Okay. And the psychology is definitely involved in that, obviously.
Absolutely. So psychology is the base, and then you get more training to be a therapist.
That is so cool. So you're like a marriage counselor.
I am a marriage counselor.
Okay.
I'm
wow.
licensed marriage and family therapist. Yes.
And how long have you had this awesome career going?
So I graduated 2014 with my master's.
Okay.
So it took me 2 years to get my license, because you need to work full-time under supervision for 2 years.
Wow. I can imagine it must be pretty intense.
Yep. And then you pass the test, you get your license. And this is where I started my own agency.
What's the test like? Is it a written test? Or do you
It's-
have to take two screaming people and calm them down in the,
No, it's
in
the
a
written
room?
test. It's actually pretty intense.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So usually you prepare for a couple of months, and
Wow.
then
How-
it takes you a few hours to take it.
Okay. Are there more? I assume there are like questions in the hundreds.
Yes, there's a couple of hundreds questions, and it's a lot of knowledge about the approaches, the tools, the techniques,
Yep.
the founders, and just a lot of basic stuff in psychology.
Okay, that's incredible. And now, in the meantime, you're also a model and an actress. So let's talk about how that came to be.
Okay, so modeling, I first started modeling when I was in the United States. I was about 15.
Okay.
I traveled with my mom to Miami.
Okay.
And I was approached by a modeling scout. And I was like, well, I'm not staying in Miami, I'm just traveling, but they just encouraged me to go back to Boston and go to the modeling agency.
Wow.
So
Well, did the guy in Miami know you were living in Boston or in the Boston
well,
area?
he asked me if I want to come to the casting call, and I said I'm going back to Boston
Okay.
tomorrow. So he said, like, you should try it. So when I was 15, I went to modeling school, so I didn't know where to start. So
Where
I
did you go to modeling school?
I went to John Robert Powers in Boston. I
Great
don't
school.
know.
I've been there myself.
So I went there. I did go to all these castings. I did go through all the training. I went to the one that they do in twice a year, one in New York, one in LA. I
Okay.
went to the New York one.
Wow.
So I brought a bunch of awards from there. So for soaps, for sitcoms, for commercial print, and that's where I started, doing.
All right,
modeling.
wait a minute. Let's break it down a little bit. You're talking about modeling and acting, correct? Okay. When you were in Miami, this guy said to you, he offered you a chance to audition for something, a film, right? Okay, and you did.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you
go.
didn't? You said
no,
you-
I
okay.
was going back to Boston.
You said, I'm going back to Boston,
And
so
I-
you passed it up to go
I
back.
never thought to be a model.
Okay.
I didn't think I could be, and I am like, okay, that's really cool. That's actually feels really nice that someone thinks I could be a model.
Right.
But then when I came back to Boston, I was like, oh, maybe I should try it.
Okay. So in other words, you bypassed the offer to audition for a film, but when you came back to Boston, you decided to try modeling. He put the idea in your head, and you went for it.
Yep.
And then you applied to John Robert Powers, and you did. And then from there, you ended up getting into films and commercials as well.
I started doing commercials, films. I started doing print.
Okay.
I did a lot of magazines.
Yep.
I did some local magazines, national magazines, international magazines.
Wow.
I was even in Russian Cosmopolitan.
Cool.
Yeah.
Russian Cosmo. You won the cover?
No.
Oh, that's okay. No,
Paris
that's fine.
Hilton was in the cover. I was just inside.
That's fine, but at least people can see it. I mean, now as far as, just curious, as long as we're talking about magazines, have you ever been on the cover of any?
Oh yeah, I done multiple magazines.
Okay.
And I'll show you the pictures.
We're gonna
Yeah,
look at the
we're gonna-
pictures. People watching the show are gonna see them. That's great. Okay, and this is since when? 2014? Oh, wait a minute. All right, wait a minute. Let's this has to be before
We're not
that.
going to talk about the age.
Yeah,
right?
because I know this is where my job gets really tricky, and it's fun because here you've done so many things. What I have to do is separate and keep it together at the same time. So the timeline for your modeling preceded the timeline for your marriage therapy, right? Or before that?
Yes, I
Okay.
started modeling first, and
Yes,
that was
okay.
something I did for fun. I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But then I knew that most likely I will not make my career in modeling and film, and I want something serious. That's why I went to college.
Okay.
And that's why I went to my master's program.
Okay, I see. And now you're doing both, right?
I'm doing both.
That's awesome. See, it's not, I always say everything happens for a reason, and how did everything work out? And in the meantime, you got married and you had 3 sons.
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. You got it all.
Yep. I got married to my high school sweetheart.
Oh, that's sweet.
So we've been together
from
for
Lynn
7
English.
Well, he went to Swampscott, so.
Well, that's close enough. I have relatives in Salem, so I know the geography of the area pretty well. Okay, now let's talk about a couple of years ago. When I was researching you for the show, I was looking at your Facebook page, and there you were on Channel 7 with a big honor. Let's talk
Alberto
about that. What
Vassallo,
was
yeah.
that? Mrs. Massachusetts 2017.
Yep. Mrs. Massachusetts 2017.
Well,
So
Miss
that
Massachusetts what 2017?
USA Universal.
What is it?
It's USA Universal. It's one of the pageant systems.
Okay.
So there are multiple.
Right.
I didn't know that before I even entered in Mrs. Division. I used to do pageants when I was 15, 16, 18.
Right.
And I was under impression you can only be in pageants when you're teenager
Yeah.
or young adult. And then
Okay.
if you're married, party's over. Mm-mm.
Not the case.
No,
You-
not the case.
That's-
I did my little research. I Googled it. I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of pageant systems.
Okay.
So the reason why I chose USA Universal, because they also give you opportunity to volunteer and get medals from the president for the
Wow.
volunteering.
President of what? The United States?
United States. It was actually back with under Obama.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
got my 5 medals
Wow.
and my Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's so cool. Lifetime achievement for modeling?
No, for volunteering.
For volunteering.
Yep.
Okay. I'm okay. This is
I know I've done a lot.
That's
so
okay.
it's
No,
all
that's
over the
good. That's why we want to, we want to make sure that we're on the same page about,
Mm-hmm.
and that's wild. So you've got so much stuff going on, and being on channel. Now, what was the Channel 7 thing? That was you were on the news. You were
Yep.
profiled right at the TV station. So that must have been great when you found that out. Now, where did this contest take place that you won?
So the one here in Massachusetts, it was local, but then I traveled to Mrs. USA Universal, and it took place in Nevada.
Wow.
So it was actually definitely a really cool experience.
Yeah,
I
I'm
met-
sure. I know it was. So you were Mrs. Massachusetts. You were a national contestant.
Yep, I was
Okay.
a national contestant.
Okay, and you did it, and you went to Nevada for that.
I went to Nevada.
Was that Vegas?
No, it was not in Vegas, Reno, Nevada.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine though. That's pretty big stuff. Let's say, could you run for it again? Or
I was thinking about it.
Okay.
So not this year. I just had a baby. So my baby
Congratulations,
is
yeah.
almost 4 months.
Okay.
And I was thinking maybe next year.
Okay.
I will work on myself again. I'll be in better shape, and I'll have more sleep.
Okay.
Because right now I'm lacking sleep as a new mom.
Okay.
And then I have 2 more kids. So, but next year I definitely want to enter, and I want to go for Mrs. America.
Mrs. America.
Yep.
Okay. No, I've interviewed people that have done that, so you'd be in good company. In terms of now, in terms of like other things, you've done print stuff.
Yep.
Where and what is the circulation of those magazines? Do you have any idea? I'm sure they're worldwide. They're not just online, right?
No. They are the print magazines. So I
Okay.
done some local Boston ones.
Okay.
I was in magazines as a model, as a fashion model, editorial fashion. I also done some commercial print,
Okay.
which was in
For what?
Boston,
I know-
Boston magazine.
You don't know exactly. I mean, I'm just
So
curious.
I
what
was
the-
for one. It was I'm trying to think.
You can't
Revolution
remember.
Rock Bar. I
Okay.
was their model, face of the Revolution Rock Bar for the whole year. So they were shooting, commercial print and put them in Stuff at Night, Boston Magazine,
Wow.
all the local ones. I was in a lot of New Hampshire magazines.
Okay.
I was in Bride magazine. So before I even got married, I had to try so many bride dresses on, which
Okay.
was amazing. I kind of knew what I wanted.
There you go. That's awesome. And I assume that your husband's pretty supportive of what you do. He must think it's great.
He supports whatever I do.
That's great. I mean, that's as it should be. That's the way it goes. All right. So now, I'm curious about how it's going with being a marriage counselor. What exactly? I mean, I got to ask, and this is a blunt question. Do you ever have people that you just feel that it's never going to matter? No matter how much work you give them, they're not going to mend the fence for the marriage. And I'm only asking because it's not your fault if that's true. But I know there's so much to marriages now. So few of them last a lifetime. I'd say more than like 2. When I understand the statistics are out, the most recent statistics say that 2 out of every 3 fail eventually.
Yes, it's pretty correct statistics.
Okay.
A lot of marriages are failed,
Yeah.
but now I feel like a lot of people are trying to fix them.
Okay.
They go to counseling, they trying to work it out.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is communication.
Right.
When clients come in, and I feel like it's number 1 what they're looking for.
Yep.
When I see 2 people, I always tell them, if I just want to make sure you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting my time.
Exactly.
You both need to work on it,
Right.
and you need to be both checked in. If one of you checked out, it's probably not going to work out.
Okay.
So, and then I do see a lot of progress within a short period of time when people are actually trying and working.
Okay, that's great. So but you're pretty positive for everybody. You tell everybody you don't sugarcoat anything. You let people know that I appreciate that you're coming to see me, but you really have to, be 100% committed to doing this. And now are there ever any steps that you present to people that they find, unpleasant that they follow anyway at the beginning? I'm just wondering.
Well, first of all, they need to show up. 50% of success now physically coming to the office.
Of course.
So then I always ask them about, like what are, have their experiences, what are the things that they need to work on. So most of the people say that communication is bad.
Yep.
The statistics usually finance is number one. You know, they fight because of the financial problems, they fight because of sex, and they fight because of in-laws. But now the more, like, I guess, updated statistics because of the blended families. And the amount of blended families, it's because of the kids.
Okay.
Because kids from this marriage, so parenting is the big issue.
Okay, exactly. So that leads me to ask you: Do you ever ask them to bring the kids with them, or never, or just?
So that's a family therapy. So this is another piece. So I like to separate couples work from the parenting, and sometimes we do work with kids themselves as well. So I have an agency. We have multiple clinicians who work, and we have 3 locations. Okay,
so you own this agency.
I own the agency,
it, but you have people working under you.
Yes.
Okay. How many about?
So we have 10 clinicians.
How many? 10?
10 clinicians.
10 clinicians.
Full-time clinicians.
All right, and it's all in the Boston area?
Yep. We have. And we're expanding. So we have in Swampscott, we have in Danvers, and then Linfield. We're opening a Linfield location.
Cool. Are you ever considering like maybe taking it out of state too? I mean, maybe even nationwide, or is that too much?
Well, maybe at some point. It's just so much need here.
Yeah.
Just in Massachusetts. That's why offices are so close by to each other, because there's a lot of need. And we work with a lot of different populations. We work with kids. We work with kids with autism, behavioral issues. We work with teens, depression, anxiety, phobias. We work with adults. We work with elderly, geriatric psychology. We do a lot of couples and family work.
Wow.
So there's a big spectrum of things. We work on trauma as well. Trauma is the big one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That must be a big thing. Now, how do you make yourself allow yourself to deal with that? That's got to be tough when there's trauma involved. Obviously, there are cases like that, and you see it in the news every day.
Yep. I try not to read the cases because it's pretty traumatic, and I see clients coming in and they talk about the past trauma, the childhood. We work with the state closely with DCF, and so the way you just need to separate yourself. I always present with my clients. I always need to make sure I'm attentive. We make sure we're processing things, make sure they're learning the coping skills, and make sure we're going to the core.
Right.
So it's almost they need to process and let it go.
Right, okay.
But also learn the skills to move forward.
Okay, wow.
So, but for me personally, I'm trying to just be done when I'm done.
Yep.
When I was still an intern in my master's program, I remember I was dreaming about my cases, which was not good.
Okay.
So this is where you need to stop. Like whenever session is out, you're done with your note, and you're done.
Okay.
So until the next time.
Okay. So basically, it's always a slippery slope with this deal every day, and you never know the type of people you're going to be seeing.
Well, I have my clients. I have my consistent clients who come in week after week. Then the hope is for them to step down.
Yeah.
And then close.
Right.
Because I always tell my clients that I don't want to be your therapist for life.
Right.
I hope for you to learn all the skills and be done.
Okay.
And be on your own, be independent.
Now, as a therapist, you don't just deal with married couples, you deal with just individuals too, right? Like
absolutely.
Children and stuff, or even just patients and single people as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm just wondering what do you do with people that are autistic? I'm just curious. Do you have any? How do you handle that? Because I happen to be autistic, believe it or not, and the fact that I'm doing the show is a pretty big step up for me. So I'm just wondering how you deal with that.
So it really depends. We work with a lot of kids who have autism.
Right.
So we have a lot of sensory tools in the office. It really depends where a child is, because child can be very functional.
Yeah.
And it's just social skills.
Right.
So
exactly.
we work on practicing the social skills.
That's my thing, is dealing with that. Yeah.
The social skills, right? But then some kids who have really, really hard time with transition.
Right.
So I, have some little kids who are 3, 4, 5-year-old. And in session, sometimes we just learn one thing at a time, and we practice it. And just next time, it's just one little additional thing. So we practice everything and then add something else.
Okay.
Also, visual representations work well for them.
Okay. Like pictures of toys, or pictures of images that children like.
So we'll learn a lot of things. So, for example, emotions.
Yeah.
A lot of kids with autism have really hard time expressing emotions and reading the emotions.
Okay.
So we have we have a lot of tools in the office. So, for example, we have the emotions cards.
Yep.
So we'll teach them, show the emotion, and actually practice how it looks like, and talk about it.
Okay.
With some little kids, the really cool tool that we use a lot. So, for example, you take the toys that they like, right?
Right.
And then you create a scenario,
Okay.
just social scenario, for example, with friends.
Right.
And then you shoot it on your phone and then recreate it or like play it and then show it to them. So they need to learn it.
Okay.
So, and this is something that I tell parents, you can do it at home.
Wow.
The little scenarios that you want to teach your child, they need the visual representation, they need the videos.
Wow.
So use their favorite toys and make that.
There you go. I got it right with toys. That's awesome. What about like Rorschach stuff? Do you do that? You know the Rorschach test?
Yes. No, we don't.
You don't do that? Yeah, I mean that's basically when you're trying to analyze somebody, you know, trying to get personality traits. That's kind of like a whole different thing.
No, we have one of our clinicians, she is trained in psychoanalysis.
Okay.
Which is really, I call it exotic approach.
Okay.
This is when you're on a couch and a clinician is next to you and you need to explore the childhood and you really have your space.
Right.
So it's totally different.
It
You know,
is
the
different.
regular therapy, you're on the couch, you're talking, you're exploring, you're learning the skills. With kids, you can be on the floor because with kids, you need to be on the same level.
Right, exactly. Okay, that's awesome. So you pretty much have a pretty broad range of people in your groups. That's really good. Do you ever have like a large group? Like years ago when I was a kid, my parents, who they were taking me to therapy, we had one night a week. They had the big group session where a lot of the therapist patients that didn't even know each other would get together in a big room in Cambridge and have like a a one-on-one discussion. I went a couple of times in the '60s when I was little. Do you ever have anything like that?
Group therapy.
Group therapy, right.
Group therapy. This is something that we're going to be adding this fall.
Oh, you are? Okay. That's,
Social skills. We had a lot of requests for social skills because, especially with kids with autism or someone who are just lacking social skills a little bit, one-on-one helps a lot.
Right.
But then when they go back to school, it's pretty difficult. So it's almost you need something in between. So I feel like the social skills group could be something in between. So for them, it would be a much easier transition.
Right.
So they can practice the skills in a safe environment.
There you go. Okay, that's great. I mean, that's good. You obviously have all the bases covered here, which is great. All right, now getting back to modeling and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you like talking about that, and you're great at it. How busy how do you bide your time between doing the therapy and the modeling? How much time do you dedicate a week to both? I assume that the therapy is the full-time thing, right?
Therapy is a full-time. I'm also a mom, so I have 3 kids.
And you have to take care of your own family, right?
My little one, he is 3 months.
You just had him, right?
Yep, I just had him. Then I have my middle one, he's almost 4. He will be 4 in August. And then my big guy, he is, he's 6.5 right now.
6.5, okay. So they're all still, in the very young stage for you.
They're still in the young stage. My kids, especially my oldest one, he did a lot of modeling himself.
He does?
Yes. And
interesting.
He started his own video blog. He wants to be a video blogger. And
wow.
He's interesting. He wanted to come to the show, and I said,
why didn't you bring him? He could watch at least.
Well, he went to camp.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he likes the show, if he watches it and he likes it, and he wants me to interview him, I'll interview him. My age range of guess is 80 years. The oldest was 85, and the youngest was 5.
Oh,
and last year I actually had a 7-year-old on in my other,
Okay.
at one of my other locations, who was an actress herself. So there's nothing today. There's no age limit to to people's accomplishments and stuff, young or old. The oldest guest I had happened to be a war survivor from the Czech Republic. He's still with us at 90 now, I believe. So he was 85 when I interviewed him, and the story he told and his daughter, who wrote a book about him, was incredible. So it's not just entertainment that people I interview. I interview people with serious stuff going on, or in a serious history as well. Okay. So in terms of like your modeling, when do you do it? Once you're given that, how much time do you have for that?
At this point, I don't have much time, but I try to do it as much as I can. So
Okay.
I'm hoping by end of the summer, maybe fall, I'll have some more time.
Okay.
So I try to go to castings,
Yep.
but right now I'm mostly I'll send my pictures in, and then if I'm invited to the casting, I will attend it.
Okay.
But I used to do this a lot.
I know you did. Do you have any photographers you shoot with, and if so, how many? About
So I have
regularly?
a few. One of my favorite photographer is Jay Philbrick. He is in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I heard of him.
He is he's pretty famous right now.
Well, I'm sure he is.
has
That's probably why I've heard of
pictures,
him.
yeah, all over the world actually.
Wow.
He's been published everywhere. He was on TV. He does the interesting cliff photography. So he is on a cliff.
Okay.
And
On a cliff?
On the cliff, yeah.
Okay, I hope he doesn't take a selfie and fall to his death like some people have been doing. I hate to say that, but some
he's
people...
pretty amazing. So
Right,
he
okay.
did my pictures for Mrs. Massachusetts. I know he shoots for Mrs. New Hampshire.
Okay.
A lot of pageants.
Right, I understand. So he's a big, you should go to. In terms of traveling for modeling, are you gonna, now you've done it in New York, you've done it in,
Yes, I done it in New York. I was signed with the agency when I was 18. I went to New York.
Okay.
I would travel to New York twice a week, I would say.
okay,
I done some shows in New York, fashion shows. I'm a petite model. I'm 5'6",
Okay.
so I didn't do a lot of big shows.
okay,
But I did some shoes for the shoes. You know, I did a lot of shows here
Yep.
in Massachusetts and Boston.
okay.
Pictures, for pictures, you can travel anywhere. you know,
Beautiful.
it's-
Are you
yeah.
planning on doing any more, are you gonna plan maybe go to Europe again, back to the Ukraine or anywhere else, or
I
to the
love
West Coast?
traveling. I love traveling.
I mean,
so-
for work or just for fun?
So we'll see for both.
Okay.
There's definitely. I was thinking maybe to go to Russia,
Okay,
and there's someone who's also a family therapist who I met through modeling.
Wow.
She was Mrs. Russia,
someone you're gonna meet up with, that's great.
and she's pretty big on TV. She appears. She goes on shows every week,
Wow.
and she definitely was
You
interested.
can be on
to
her
have-
show too.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. Well, listen, we're under 4 minutes now, so what I want you to do is give shouts out to people that are going to see the show, because a lot of people are, and then we'll wrap it up. And that includes your own family, that includes Mr. Philbert if you want, and even people, even your clinicians, whatever. But just look at the camera and say, I hope you watch the show and all this, and that's it. And I want to thank you for your support and all the people on Facebook that gave us a like for your plug.
Okay.
So go ahead, and then we'll wrap the show up.
Okay, thank you everyone who's watching the show. And I would like to thank my family, my kids, and hopefully my older guy can come and be on the show. He would be really excited. And all the people who liked, and hopefully you will watch the show and give us some more likes.
That's it. That's what, and lots of views.
A lot of views.
A lot of
hopefully.
views. Okay, well, I hope you had a good time with me tonight.
Awesome.
I hope we covered your stuff the way I mean, you were a bit of a challenge because you've done so much stuff. And that's my job is to open up the clues for every person I interview, and the more challenging it is, it's a little bit, it rips me a little bit, but it's worth it. The more I rip, the stronger I get in that field.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, listen, Anya, thank you for coming down here. It's so great to have you on my show, and you were great, and
Thank you.
those pictures are going to look great, and when you see them on the show. And on that note, are you ready to wrap it up and jiggy
Yeah.
with it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. See you next time. Here we go.
I do this too?
Here you go. You got it. And that's a wrap.